Okay, so we'll start. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the 6th episode of SCM Talk Show Season 4. The last episode was on top trends in supply chain management 2024. And this episode is reducing inventory errors. So I think we'll talk about all kind of inventory issues here. And this topic has been chosen to tap the vast experience of the speaker. So as usual, this session will be recorded and made available for free on KnoWerX mobile app and KnoWerX YouTube channel. Like our earlier practice, we are putting everyone on a listen-only mode. Like all previous times, please submit your questions in the chat box. We will take few most asked questions at the end of the session, if time permits. So it's my pleasure to introduce today's speaker, Mr. Satish Jajoo. Satish is my classmate of high school. Satish is an independent board director and a strategic advisor and mentor. In his past roles, which are very, very wide and a lot at very high management level, he was chief operating officer of Hindalco, chief marketing officer of Ultratech Cement, chief executive officer with many Aditya Birla Group companies, namely Vikram Spath, Indogulf Fertilizer, Birla White, and Grasim Cement. And currently he is on the board of KnoWerX Industries. By education, he is a chartered accountant and attended many professional programs in the SPJN School of Global Management. He has 2 patents under his belt. He has been honored with Outstanding Leader Award issued by Aditya Birla Group's Chairman's Individual Award December 2018. And I'm sure I missed many more achievements of Satish. So anything that I missed, Satish, that you would like to add?
No, Ravi, you have covered almost all, and thanks for your generous introduction and very comprehensive introduction. So I think thank you for this and thank you for inviting me on this talk show.
In fact, thanks to you for accepting our invitation to share your industry and practice-oriented insights with our listeners. I'm sure whatever you will share with our listeners is going to be very, very useful. It's going to be extremely useful. And we have taken a very,
and to our listeners of this program, I think whatever we can say about Ravi, by profession and by education, he is an IT graduate. And he pursued his IT field for quite many years. And then he has come in this noble profession of teaching, enhancing, improving the skills and doing various things for a large community. And he has become an expert in supply chain. So I think there is a lot to learn from him also. So let's continue, Ravi.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So what we have taken is inventory management as a topic. And this is actually inventory management is a very common pain area across industries, small, large, multinational, national industry, domestic, we talk about any industry. I think inventory management happens to be one of the challenges, which all organizations face of any size, every size, any business, any industry. We usually have a lot of stock that we don't want, and we have no stocks of what we want. And this is a very common problem. I think everybody is struggling with, everybody is grappling with. And so I would ask you, with your very wide and varied experience in so many industries, what challenges your companies face with inventory management?
So let me quickly add to what 2 categories you said. One is excess inventory, another is short inventory or shortage or stock out situation. But I will add 2 other categories to this. One is very non-moving, purchase but not there. It is good in quantity, small in quantity, but high in value. But they are remaining in the system and people have their own pretext. Somebody would call it insurance, somebody would call it critical, somebody would call it in the name of stoppage of production. So all these things happens. Then second, there is one more category which people say I have purchased it, but everybody is focused on managing inventory right from top to bottom. Then they apply the shortcuts. Shortcuts in the sense they will get the material issued, keep it on the shop floor, which nobody monitors, and there is nothing to control what is the inventory lying on the shop floor. And this is everyone is not on focus. And when there is a breakdown situation, then they will recover and then they will give a surprise. Oh, this was available on my shop floor. I used it and somehow I managed. So these are the two chronic issues which is less focused, less attended, and less reviewed because of the very what you call it, experience processes, old organization, multinational, large organization, but this is a chronic problem and it doesn't acquire a differentiated attention. Neither there is an assessment, no, and more lack of assessment is on the category of material issued but lying on the shop floor. And there are different processes each company follows and there are different methods, but the crux is this is one more category which probably should require at least when I cover, I hope it will come up. At least this has been one of the major focus area in such a large and old organization. And when we made the assessment on the shop floor inventory, then it is very, you are neither when it was issued, when it was lying, because one is the control, another is upkeep of those spares. If they are not kept properly, valuable spares or stores, they get damaged and the company has paid for it and incurred the cost of it because it is charged to consumption. So this is our capex, but it is more regular consumption charged to P&L account. So this is one I thought I will add here. Second,
Yeah,
when you
absolutely. This
say,
is also common, very common.
yeah, second, when you say inventory management, yes, I agree that it is a common thing. It has been a good subject, but when I would touch upon the inventories in the supply chain, inventory is classified into different categories and say broad categories which everyone understand and every industry has got it. It all depends on, whether it is an engineering industry or batch process or continuous process, but it is almost there. So people may call it raw material inventory, stock in process, work in progress, finished goods inventory, stores and spare parts inventory, and it attains is assumed or it assumes its importance depending upon the nature of inventory. The nature, I mean, if it is bulk, if it is loose, if it is big quantity in a large organization like Hindalco or cement or any other large. So there the quantum and there are so many loose material which keeps coming either by road or by rail or by, so there are different types of raw material and in different shape, sizes and different conditions. So I will not dwell upon more on this because it is very common to the people and people can relate to this aspect. And for each category of this, each class of item, you will appreciate that, there are different approaches, different system, different processes. One cannot make one standard process for all the items.
Yeah.
It has to be different for size, packaging, quantity, mode of receipt, because it has an impact on the inventory. And when we have an inventory, when I say, it has an one, it impacts the, if it is not available, that it impacts the operational efficiency, continuity of operation, provided these items are critical and long delivery item, imported, and all many other factors, but they are critical. So if we, it has an impact on the continuity of operation, which leads to the cost. Then it leads to the internal customer satisfaction because non-availability people will face their own process problem, which probably purchase and stores department, if the organization is large, they are away from the scene. They will come to know when the problem happened. But these are the, so it has an impact on the customer. You may call it customer, internal, external, cost, direct and indirect cost both, and more so, it has an implication, significant implication on cash flow. So in the current days, in the COVID days, or even in the business, when it undergoes a different cycle, business cycle, it assumes its importance focus on working capital management. And working capital management includes, which is part and parcel of supply chain management, because it affects various factors and various categories of item, starting from finished goods or stores or raw material. And every control mechanism, system, processes are different. If if it is a finished goods, then you will like to control. If they are increasing the quantity, you will like to rationalize your production, which is the last thing to happen. The more focused thing will happen on the marketing to sell more at the right price. So this gives a stretch on the people and the pressure on the people to make a difference and to help the company to reduce the cost, to reduce the cash, improve the cash flow, and also associated advantage with this. Similarly, on the raw material side, again, if you there are many situations where you have to take a decision, whether it is because of bottlenecks in rail, bottlenecks in roads, sudden disruption, all that thing. So one has to plan, one has to be proactive, one has to have the good system, and one should take care. If this is going to be very impactful, that is not at the time of having an impact or at the time of having an occurrence of the event, but as a system, as a process, it is inbuilt, which we call it in a good organization a risk management process, which has starting from planning till end. And everyone in the organization, it is not the domain of 2, 3, 4 people to talk about risk management, but this in a good organization, in a mature organization, my recommendation will to all the listeners that they need to be looking into and developing the risk management process effectively and involving the person so that every decision is taken keeping risk management in mind, whatever decision they take and whenever. So this is one thing which I try to promote based on my experience, and I happen to be the chairman of the risk management committee of the board. So, but this is the general focus, which is very useful and which is very relevant. And to my surprise, in many organizations, the risk management process is for the namesake. They are not
Absolutely.
they are not well entrenched. People are not doing, but just for fulfilling the formality because it is a requirement of SEBI, loader, and all that they have something. But having something is not relevant. Having it, understanding it, it requires good effort on the part of the senior management of the company to promote because it is good for the organization, it is mandated by the law, and it will be helpful and it will address all the things, whatever, 3C plus 2 as what I give a name. So these are, and coming to your point, you said it's a pain area.
Absolutely.
I slightly differ on this.
Mhm.
I call it's a challenging area. It's
Yeah,
not a pain area because every company has some or the other system of inventory management. They all these categories, if they are very old, reasonable size, and with reasonable maturity, they will have, some system of control, some system of focus. But whether that system is adequate or not, that is a different point. Whether that has been changed, improved, or how they are implementing it, executing it, so that's a different point. But then I would recommend people that they should not be consider that this inventory management is pain because this is lifeline for the organization.
absolutely.
It has an
Absolutely.
impact on the different aspect and what I discussed. So they need to see if whatever problem it comes, it's a challenge, and the challenge can be overcome by the people because they are all experienced. They are not new, they are professionals, and so much wisdom resides in the organization. It is a question of giving a seriousness. It is a question of putting a focus systematically. and then finding a solution, enhancing the own system and processes, correcting it, improving it over a period, involving the people, and making sure the system works by effective management reviews at all levels, including the CEO. And normally people give a, just a, if they want to present to someone outside, they say, yes, we have a good system, this. But if you look into it, I think it gets a very, very small focus and small attention. It will gain big focus and big attention when the problem multiplies. And when there is a big issue, then everybody behind that, but that's too late. What one can do? It has to be all proactive, all planning, right from planning stage, thinking, involving people. And so this is one thing which uh, I feel that, only one thing, one change from conventional. Now people are talking about ERP system, that is IT. And uh, I have seen that even mid-sized company to, not very small, but any company who is having 2000 crore turnover or 1000 crore turnover, there are versions available. People are adopting ERP system. And once they are having a ERP system, probably something will happen better. But there is some other point which we will uh, come later. So the importance, why they should not be considering as a pain area, but challenging area, open to change, open to, you know, benchmark, continuous improvement. And the objective is very simple. The objective is that they are committed and they are accountable. All the persons who are relevant person in the supply chain in different categories, including marketing, including purchase, including technical, all people, commercial, all they have to work together in a very coordinated manner to see that there is a continuous improvement in the plant operation, continue business continuity, minimum losses, and there is a word called muda or waste. So these are the things through practicing excellence, it should keep reducing. Nobody can say that I have removed all wastage and all, because things are changing, new things are coming up, new processes are there, new people are changing. So it is a continuous thing which they need to be working and with an open mind that there is always a scope of continuous improvement. And it is how what they understand by continuous improvement. So and then optimal cost management we said, but again, cost management equal focus has to be on quality control measures, whether it is input quality, whether it is output quality, because there are so many things which comes in the quality. Say, for example, if I tell coal, moisture, women, because it's such a bulk commodity, railway has got its own rule. Nobody has got the exact measurement of weighing each and every ton of coal or any bulk material which comes in rake load. The weighment measures are different, weighing scale differences. So there are many things. Truck may be here, though it is powder, it is leakages, it is pilferages. So it has, one has to know and one has to have the good system, having a good bearing on the internal quality processes and quality systems. And last is, reliable supplier, having a good relationship. We call it supplier CRM or supplier relationship management. So it is all customer relationship management is part of marketing, but at least in this, and once we say proactive, they need to be in touch with the trend, in close touch with the production so that anything happens or any problem when they are discussed, so person can see if this is likely to happen or they can seek more clarification and then take it forward in a right manner together. And wherever they require help, they can always seek help from production or anyone, including suppliers. And if it is imported, then it is more than when you call it a system. So everyone must be fully aware of inventory control methods. There are good methods, standard ways of doing it. And earlier it used to be on manual basis. Now at least in the system. So IT system that helps to the people to do fast, to do more accurate, to put more, address more variability, and then more important, it throws the outcome very fast. But people should not get guided just by looking at the outcome. They need to deliberate. They need to dig deep in it, do the problem solving approach analysis, and find solution, whether it is internal process or what for whatever be the reason. So that is how I will say that if you are not doing all these things, then definitely it is a pain area. Pain area for technical people because they are running a plant and suddenly they will find there is a disruption in suppliers and there is a disruption. The breakdown happens without telling, in spite of having a good system. And then when they communicate कि ये हो गया मेरे पास नहीं है, and suddenly the requirement goes up during that breakdown. So you become out of stock and it poses a lot of. So then right from the top management till the concerned people, they will be always on the tenterhook and they will always be, worried about कि क्या बोलेंगे, कैसे बोलेंगे, क्या जवाब देना है, ये क्या. But जवाब ववाब तो secondary चीज है, but it has a significant implication on all this, business continuity, operation, and all these issues become more complex in a large organization at multi sites operation because it has a different significance. There are common process, standard process, but set up at a different, life cycle of the plant. So technology makes a difference, equipment makes a difference, and all that thing. So it become more challenging. So I would refrain from using the word pain, but I say more challenging. People have to find ways, means, remain active and do whatever best. And it is the people only who will do, provided they are focused, they are conscious, they are, and they're working together. So I think this is my and another why it becomes challenging because in supply chain, the dynamics changes, the external environment, the market environment, and even the evolvement of technology or because of the obsoleteness of the technology. Sometimes the parts are not available, but you cannot discard the plant because it is heavy capital intensive. So people have to manage, people have to think. It is not people say कि ये तो टेक्निकल वालों का काम है. मेरे पास में रिक्वायरमेंट आया कि मैं परचेस करके मंगा दूंगा, दूसरा बोलेगा मेरे पास मटेरियल आ गया तो मैं स्टोर में रख के जब चाहिए वो इशू कर दूंगा. That is very myopic view. That is not a coordinated action. It has to be together and people have to seek help and do whatever because the ultimate objective is for the organization around those 3C plus 2S. So there are other parts, but I think this will cover in case if you have any other point I can touch upon.
I think that was a very, very good discussion. So now I'll go to the next, point with your so much of experience that you have.
Ravi, I missed one point.
Okay.
Around this, I think I talked about system, processes, coordination, interaction, communication, everything I talked about. So one has to have a effective system of control. What is that control? That is effective MIS. Effective MIS has to keep evolving around the KPIs, looking to the weak areas in any organization in the supply chain. And they need to keep a track, howsoever accurate it is and howsoever, less accurate it is. It cannot be assumed and it cannot be thrown like this because it ultimately people have to take the decision. They have to guide, they have to tell. It is not one CEO or few people in the organization. They'll say कि ठीक है मैं बताता हूँ. तो एक तो effective way of doing, effective MIS, which is good for control, managing the situation, keeping a track. And as the problem is big and large, I think the frequency of review has to be focused. Sometime it is daily, sometime it depends on which type of problem, which situation and how critical it is. And supply chain offers many changes. Sometimes
Many changes.
in our case, we have seen in large power plant, we have worked with coal inventory of few days, 3, 4, 5 days, which is one can understand what that means is when there is no clarity whether we would get so much quantity because it is a government rule. People say we will send more to power plant. You can't help. But you need to be aware of, you need to keep your eyes and ears open and see what it is happening, when it can happen, how you can manage, what are the alternate sources. That is not at the time of the situation. That is in the normal course as a part of risk management or risk mitigation planning. Whenever it may happen very less, but whenever it happens, the impact is very big.
Impact is
So
very big.
this is the importance of this. And one more part which I would like to emphasize is culture part, organization culture. So some of the aspect of organization culture I've discussed about promoting excellence, promoting, the culture of, continuous improvement, how the continuous improvement will come. You need to beat the best, your own best. Keep improving because there is no, what I learned is there is no finish line at any given point of time in any type of best organization. It is your, focus. It is your desire to create and be different and hatke or jaldi. Sometimes speed makes a difference. Sometimes bringing the novelty makes a difference. But ultimately, whatever you do, it has to be focused around customer, internal, external. It has to be focused on all the 3, 4, 5 measures which we talk about. And somebody says ki, bolna bahut easy hai. What is the way? But it is, as you must be aware, that in the process there are different processes, and which are standard process, like, root cause analysis. When you go root cause analysis, simpler approach like YY analysis, which is not very great, which is very simple, but the greatness comes of working on it, matlab executing it, attempting it, and then believing it and taking action on it. So when we see that, there are standard approaches, when we see 4 Ws, 1H, that is standard. We say PDCA, that is our approach, plan, do, check and act. So these are various, not very difficult, but the thing is people have to have a belief in it, practice it, and it is not कि बड़ी प्रॉब्लम होगी तभी हम सब करेंगे. छोटी प्रॉब्लम है, बट छोटी प्रॉब्लम होने से आपको सीनियर लोगों को इन्वॉल्व होने की दरकार नहीं. Because it's so simple, people have to do and find corrective action so that it doesn't recur. And it enhances the system and processes, internal control. So this is all about culture. Rest, I think I have touched upon in different ways.
So what I was going to ask you, to request you to share some of the, some improvement that you implemented facing all these challenges.
So first you say what as a CEO or what I have done. So to answer to this question is, it is not CEO's job to factor improvement and do something new things, because I believe the CEO's role is one is a senior CEO or the senior management. It's all in large organization. There are senior management which are very highly qualified, highly experienced, and very senior people. Which is, if in a small company they are like CEO, but in a big company, they are like functional heads or but senior people, well knowledgeable, well matured. So their job, and as a team, again it is important. It's not individual. It's not कि तुम मैंने बोल दिया तुम करो. Not, it is, promoting team, directing it, observing it, remaining in touch with customer, internal as well as external customer, and understanding the needs, understanding their pain area. And since our people know about our internal systems and internal, tarika, so they know where the shoe pinch, who is responsible, and then collectively people have to say, let's plug this, let's correct it, and do whatever best one can do together in a very coordinated manner, planned manner. So this is, and whatever approach I have covered earlier. And so to come to a specific situation and specific point, I think आज की तारीख में I've seen there are lot many technological options and they are evolving. So when in every area in the supply chain, but you need to see which area is important. Every area is not getting that importance of the same level. There are some reasonable good performance having less impact on the customer, on your company performance, on the continuity or on the cost. And there are some areas which are having a significant impact or which may have a significant impact if not taken care as a planned approach. So one is falling back on the technology, keeping your eyes and opens, remaining in touch with the people, remaining in touch with the scene on the floor of the shop floor. So you know, and if you're giving a good ear to your problem and you know that organization excellence mein humko yahan jana hai, and these are the pain areas, then you will definitely communicate better, increase the focus, and do whatever best in the organization. And but the rider is all the technological solutions. One has to know the frugality of it, because every organization cannot afford to spend any amount on the technology. Everyone has a resource cut. Even if you have best of best ERP, but there are many things which ERP cannot address. You need to have support system which are talking to ERP, or which are better how the data are retrieved, how the data are banned, and how the analysis is information is analyzed. So I would always recommend the frugality depending upon the resources. Even if company says I can spend any amount, but there is no company, irrespective of whichever size and whichever resourcefulness, always people are focused. And if somebody is not focused, it is we who have to create a focus, because that is aligning with the objective what we said. And another is the focus. We need to give significance what we discussed, priority which we discussed, and then create a differentiation that is applicable to all the levels of organization and all the types of organization, good, bad, excellent, worldwide, everyone. But because excellence, as I said, no finish line, and there is a scope. If people say I'm slow in improvement, I'm happy with that, I think what will happen in next 2, 3, 4 years, the time will impact them, and the changes, challenges, market challenge will keep impacting. And another person has to see that whatever there, it has to be collective. It is not one person saying कि do this, आप ये कर लो और करते जाओ. Yes, idea could flow from anyone, right from CEO, senior, junior, anyone, but together, like what I said, the different processes. One is, we call it a continuous improvement team within the function, within the department, because it's a group of people in the department who keeps improving, who keeps improving the process, response time, speed, and all redundancy in the processes or elimination of duplication, all that thing. Then bigger thing, which has a, different impact at different places and which is not governed by one department, then it is a cross-functional team which together has to work, discuss, and plan. And the next is, if the problem is big, then of course the approach is CFT, but we call it focused improvement team because they have a different agenda, they have a different guideline, they have a different timeline, and there is a sense of urgency. And in that focused improvement team, all the good people, senior people, knowledgeable people, because it has a good impact on the overall well-being of the organization. So these are the few things and approaches, but people have to believe in, not for the namesake, and continuously doing it. And every time they need to keep track of it, what we have improved, what we can improve, and why. This why will, you know, somewhere we will discuss. So जो problem in resistance to change. We say ना ये अरे आपने तो बोल दिया बोलना बहुत इजी है करने में प्रॉब्लम आती है हमारे पास तो इतना टाइम है all that thing will come but if they feel the relevance they feel the importance in their role for the organization they will find time and together they have to find time it is not one person ये नहीं है कि एक आदमी उसी पर लोड किए जा रहे हैं that is not a good sign because all have to say कि I need to do my this and then over and above there has to be a good accountability in all
So
this area.
that was my next question. What roadblocks did you face while
So,
making changes?
yeah, so I think these are the approaches and this as a CEO, it is his responsibility to ensure or as a functional head or at the head of the plant or whatever name, it is the senior management accountability and responsibility to communicate effectively, to provide sources, to guide, to help and to review and keep asking questions, keep understanding their viewpoint, not key, ignoring their viewpoint and just forcing them to just, which is normal thing in a not a professional organization. ऊपर बॉस ने बोल दिया करना है अरे करना है वो तो ठीक है but if you're logical everyone is interested to understand and if suppose an organization is not interested then I think it has a different type of organization which will face and all these things they will be struggling with the pain area. Every time they will see kahan headache hai, kya headache hai, and they will fire, they will all nonsense things, unprofessional things will keep happening, which is not in the interest of the organization. I hope I address your question.
Yeah, one more thing I want to ask, how much did, during this change, what kind of hand-holding training or education,
So
was
yes, that's a
required?
good point. So when we say first importance is planning, why we are doing it, what are the different options of doing it. Then the cost focus will drive whatever I do, what's the cost. Risk management, what are the chances of failure, not achieving the result. Because every technology, if you are not implementing right, it will incur the cost, but whether you will get the right result, question mark. So all these things will happen planning, then addressing the need, understanding from the supplier, making it clear what they are doing, why they are doing, and why we are asking from them. And after that, then, as an approach, nobody launch a full scale implementation. There is always because it is different and there is ERP is a well tested. So business processes are mapped. There is no point. It is not possible that you will do on pilot basis. You have to take a decision and you need to commit and you need to implement in full earnest. But then there is always a risk management aspect while implementation of ERP. You need to see what can go wrong, which will impact my continuity of operation, my cost and my customer, satisfaction or delivery or this. That is important. If in the name and if people say yeah, I'm dependent on my consultant and they are implementing agency, that is of no comfort. Because if something happens and the business processes get disturbed, what
Right.
that agency will say, sorry, we will do it, but sorry karke kya karega? Your business processes are getting impacted. So
Correct.
you're being close in touch with the scene, understanding it, planning it, thinking about the risk, what it can happen. So these are all the top management role. They need to direct, they need to advise, they need to ensure that those processes are not invented. They need to ensure that it is like a stage gate process. Nobody can jump on third stage or fourth stage. People have to cross and systematically, not naam ke liye. So this is one part and frugality in all aspects. Yes, there are like ERPs, you cannot have frugality. You need to select the right platform and the right module and what you need to do but not for the namesake, I will go across all modules, because you have certain strengths and certain limitations. So while respecting it, you need to see what is critical for you, for the business, and then proceed. But then there are, in supply chain, it is not only ERP which will suffice. There are many, what you call it, support system. There are different modules which get attached to this ERP, of fetching the data, providing the data, and then the value lies, in my view, the value lies in adjacent processes. Like I had given an example, quality ascertainment, quality measurement, quantity measurement. रास्ते में क्या क्या हो जाता है, कितनी शॉर्टेज आती है, कितना क्या होता है, क्या क्वालिटी खराब आती है, कितना वेरिएशन आता है, बिकॉज in such bulk commodity you cannot measure each ton of it.
Absolutely.
You have to have a simple process, standard process based on, so you need to सबसे पहले having it, you need to respect it. People say SOP है, but they don't respect SOP. They find a shortcut, which is dangerous. But if they respect, so the culture of the organization is what is the adherence to the SOP. If not adhere to, then it is seen that it is a deficiency and it is a mistake. And people should not allow those things to happen, because it comes as a part of accountability. So there are many aspects which are, not directly, the data has to feed in, has to be fed in the system, but somebody has to do physical measurement like bulk. If you need to measure a coal inventory of 1 lakh ton, what you can do, you have to have a volumetric measure. If you need to do in a silo, 10,000 tons of silo, even if you are measuring with the scale, that is not accurate. There will always be some variation, something which, and it all depends when the system got installed. If it is a new, you have a little better instruments, better tarika. But if it is an old organization, you need to challenge it. You need to keep enhancing it, improving it, and looking at it. And once you know that your systems are little weak, old, outdated, but then you cannot compromise in the name of outdated, old, and this. You need to be more vigilant, more focused, and monitoring it very closely. So all these things will not come from the CEO, sir. It is the head of the department. It is the head of the, whosoever is the person, but it is his accountability. If he compromise and just हो गया कि हाँ नाम के लिए मैंने कर लिया और पता चला है कि इतना लंबा चौड़ा होता है, so then there are problems. So I think my belief is there are many processes which are critical in the supply chain to build, reduce the cost, improve the efficiency, and reduce the cost. If, say, for example, and variability. So one of the point probably we will cover, physical verification and actual verification. So depending upon the nature of the item, there is no standard way. There are different ways, which probably, next point if it is relevant, otherwise I will touch upon it later.
So, the advantage of IT systems are many, but these require timely, accurate, and the data.
And one of the things which you mentioned, training.
Yes,
Besides,
yes.
we do planning, we do organizing, we do risk management, we do all the risk mitigation plan. But first is communication, communicating to the people why you are doing it. And when you say we are doing it, not for the sake of doing it, it is to make the job more convenient, more ease, and more efficient. If they are convinced, then some people load may increase. That is a different thing. But some people load will come down. But more important is they will get the faster, quicker, and accurate information if they feed right. And if they're conscious of it, and that all comes about the training of the system, training of this, and keeping a vigil on them. It is not attending a class and say, yes, you have got the training. If you're not doing it, why? But hand holding, but that requires a little hard effort, extra time. Nobody says कि 8 घंटे का काम करना है, ये सब है, तो वो काम कौन करेगा, ये काम कौन करेगा, दूसरा has to, I require resource, मेरा इतने पास टाइम ही नहीं है, मेरा ये काम सफर हो रहा, मेरा all those things. If in a good organization, as a responsible team, and if he is interested to grow in knowledge in all sides, so he has to find time. Of course, he has to work together in a very coordinated manner. जिसको जो काम आता है उसको दे. And as a head, as a section head, as a department head, as a function head, as a CEO, the communication is important. One person communication cannot. It is a direction, it is a dictate. कि ऐसा करना, इस समय तक करना, मुझे नहीं मालूम, जो करना करो, I want this. That doesn't happen much. It will come with lot of, crumbling or दूसरा झंझट and lot of dissatisfaction. But ultimately it's going to reflect on the end result of it. And when it happens, then that CEO will be responsible.
Yeah,
उस समय नीचे वाले को कोई पूछने वाला नहीं. उस सीईओ को ही एमडी पूछेगा, सीईओ को ही बोर्ड पूछेगा, ये क्यों हुआ, क्यों नहीं देखा, क्यों नहीं सुना. उसके पास में फिर वो आंसर नहीं है. और ऐसे कोई गोल गोल घुमा देगा, then he knows what he's doing and what others are estimating, or they are painting a picture of it. That is the brutal, I would use the word brutality of the situation.
correct. Yeah. So actually my question, I mean, since you just stopped talking more about the accuracy, we have challenges, implementing these IT systems. People don't enter data timely, accurately, and these challenges also lead to the miss some transactions and so on. And the inventory accuracy goes for a toss. Across many industries that I have seen myself, I think pharma, because a lot of regulations are there, their inventories are quite accurate in the sense that physical and system inventories matches. Other industries face challenges. So what can be done about this? How to improve the accuracy?
I think, as I said, there are different class of inventory. Simple most is your stores and spare part, according to me. Because as you said, every transaction is entered purchase. All the figure when it receives, it comes, and all the thing happens which ERP facilitate. It's a question of, understanding it, implementing it, and doing it right. So if people don't care about it, they do कि आया दो आया तीन डाल दिया मैंने, कुछ नहीं यार, जल्दी जल्दी करना है, कंप्लीट करो. But that is not. और फिर कोई बोले मेरे पास तो बहुत टाइम है यार, फिनिश करो ना इसको जैसे भी आते हैं. वो सब attitude is not right. But what they need to see, they need to discuss. That is the role of department head, functional head. They need to plan, they need to think, and they need to see how do we organize it. So accuracy is important. Otherwise, garbage in and garbage out, no purpose, whether it is ERP or whether it is even manual. If there is a regulation, then the regulation brings a pressure to be more accurate, and more so, it involves senior people to keep monitoring it. Any deviation, anything, they will monitor. The frequency will be different. It will be higher. It will not like stores and spare parts. Nobody talks once in a year stores and spare parts inventory. There is a system called perpetual inventory. Because the system is available, it is putting all the things on online basis, up to date रहता है. Any people, but there has to be system and belief in making perpetual inventory as a part of internal control. And more so, if perpetual inventory finds a discrepancy, which will happen, it is not there will not be any discrepancy, but the importance of that is how fast you correct the discrepancy. It should not happen कि यार अभी तो बहुत टाइम है, हमको नहीं करना है, टाइम मिलेगा जब कर लेंगे. That deficiency is accumulating. And you don't know, anyone don't know ki what is the impact of the total, legal as well as non-legal, but cost-wise. So this is most easy, stores, spare parts. And then second, organization, what people say, everybody is focused, overstocking क्यों हो गया, understocking क्यों है, stock out क्यों है, very standard way of asking questions and very standard report. Some people have little better adherence. People say कि इतना transaction है, इतने number of items है. I will classify in, reorder levels, repeated orders. Somebody will do it, will not load to the purchase people or plan people to raise every issue, requisition, issue pass. वो नहीं होके people say जब requirement होगी मेरे पास material पड़ा हुआ मैं issue करवा लूँ. वो requirement कब होती है तो reorder level है, inventory. These are standard techniques. People will do it depending upon various analysis. Somebody call it ABC, somebody call it XYZ, somebody call it V. All the things are normal for the people who are attached with the inventory management and who are associated. So simple part is this, but believe in perpetual inventory, practicing it, and whatever discrepancy happens, going into the root cause of it, correcting the process, enhancing their SOPs, and enhancing the SOP is also important. People claim कि yes, we have SOP, but when it was reviewed, when it was made, that is a big weak point. People say हमारा ISO है. We have ISO system, we have all these things, but still, in spite of having an ISO system, the focus remains of accreditation, then it is bad. But if the focus remains leveraging the approach, falling back on it, practicing it seriously, then it is an advantage. So this is one part of one nature of inventory. Second, like raw material, I given if it is in bags and if it is small quantity, it is easy. One can count it, one can see. Probably, it is not required on daily basis. If the value of the raw material is not very high, if the value of the raw material is very costly, then it has to be under lock and key. It has to be monitored very close. All the things will happen depending upon what's the value, what is the sensitivity, and what is the availability. If it takes time to bring, then people say कि मुझे control रखना है, theft नहीं होना है, pilferage नहीं होना है, quality deteriorate नहीं होनी है, सब कुछ. और उसी तरह से quality का जब नाम लिया, तो ये जो प्रोसेस है आपका stores and spare parts, हमने स्पेसिफिकेशन दिया, हमने मंगा लिया, हमने इशू कर लिया, बट वी आर नॉट फोकस्ड अराउंड द क्वालिटी एस्पेक्ट. वी से कि हाँ, जो भी क्वालिटी अप्रूव करता है, देयर इज अ इंस्पेक्शन डिपार्टमेंट, दे इंस्पेक्ट, बट इफ दे आर नॉट फुल्ली sensitive about the quality, then later on when the need arises, when they put that part, they say ये तो इसमें ये quality defect, or it will not give his life and it will break down. And then suddenly stock out situation, emergency purchase, and सब काम छोड़कर सब लग जाएंगे. So importance of quality assessment, quality control measures, SOP, frequency of SOP updation, proper updation by approving the authority, not in the name of, generally CEOs fine किया नीचे वाले कर लेंगे. But CEO or senior manager, they need to ensure the completeness, the rightfulness, and the adequacy of whatever they do, not for the sake of, meeting certain objective of accreditation or doing something that is useless. It doesn't serve anything except some hygiene factor. So when I come on this, stock in process or work in progress in engineering industry. So stock in process, because there is a system of creating P&L, there are good organizations like if you see, if I tell, and most of the people, I don't know whether they're aware or not, in Birla Group organization, and that is starting from GD Birla, AV Birla, now coming on Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla. I think we had that, cost focus. And then we see, there should not be any surprises. There should not be any variability. So, and the profit, what we determine, there was a practice of determining the daily profit. Now it is changed, but daily profit and loss was calculated when there was no IT system. The computer, but uske pehle bhi, and there were no CS. It is all BCom, MCom, they were doing it, but they were doing so accurately after passing my CA and becoming a head of accounts. I used to learn from them. So accuracy is important, and accuracy, जो होता है, there is a system, stock in process, stock in continuous process में, there is a measurement of, because it is a routine thing. There are certain points and there are levels, there are measurements, this, and generally they are almost near to it. Nobody expect 100% accuracy. Because कुछ भी कर लो थोड़ा थोड़ा तो कहीं ना कहीं होगा. But if it is very marginal in the overall things of the business, which we call it materiality, if it is not material and immaterial, then there is no point in putting all our energy to reach 100% level. One has to see what is important and up to what level I can talk. Then looking to the nature of the product, you know, so this is about, and say work in progress at all different places of the shop floor. There is an inventory and it is a routine daily report. It is a necessary part of the technical nature. Everyone will create a report because it facilitates कि आगे का process smooth चले. They suddenly don't find कि भाई ये तो आया ही नहीं पीछे से तो क्या होगा. And then when it goes for the finished production, they say ये तो time लगेगा. So there, in order to achieve OTIF, achieve customer, focus or customer satisfaction in a continuous process or in engineering industry, there is always a work in progress and stock in process.
Absolutely.
Nobody can say I can make zero. No, there will be some inventory, but whether that inventory, because of the technology, because of the equipment, because of this, that is a continuous effort. It may happen, it may not happen, but at least people are putting the thoughts, their ideas, and that explore. Hoga nahi hoga, that is a different thing.
Absolutely.
Coming on raw material. When I say if it is bagged, it is very easy. People can count it and do. The chances of happening mistakes is very less. But again, there are other reasons of creating a shortage. When receiving lower material, when if it is in bags, shortage of material, when everything is correct, that handling losses, stock keeping losses. So many things will happen and this will result into some difference in the inventory over a period. So this will, one is inventory, but it is adding to the cost. So if you don't assess it in the time, every time, which is, in the raw material case, at least it is ensured. If it is a regular raw material once in a month, that is minimum. People have to assess, people have to do, people have to record, and there is an internal control which the concerned department will not do it. A team of people, 2-3 people, they will go, and those who are day-to-day monitoring, they may be left aside or they may be part of it, but they are not doing it themselves and reporting it. So these are all part of internal control. When I say on the bulk commodities, there are different things like weight variation, moisture, quality. When you get the moisture, it will deplete over a period if it is stocked for a long time. And then in very bulk commodities, because of the rake load, because in spite of having all the things, proper SOP, well structured SOP, the only thing in those organizations is keep reviewing the SOP with every experience you get of mismatches and differences. That is necessary part. Usko ignore kar diya. And another part is reduce the variability. Variability in the sense कि 3 महीने बाद quarterly result आना है, because monthly result तो depends on the organization, but quarterly results are the statutory. अब quarterly result के लिए auditor आएगा, auditor पूछेगा, उसके हिसाब से कर लेंगे. तो then the plus and minus and the variability have serious impact. तो suddenly for a management, they say कि हमारे दिमाग में तो इतना profit था, ये इतना कैसे कम हो गया. And for the large commodities like coal or many other costly commodities, the impact is very significant. And who knows what is happening? There are pilferages, there are all malpractices, there are all wrong practices which can happen and very difficult to detect unless you are conscious, your internal standards and processes are very strong, and you keep revisiting your own processes. Keep improving, keep learning, keep incorporating, and keep consulting. Jahan se bhi hai. And another good feature probably people must be practicing. There is always a value of independent verification, third party verification. Though it is a little add to the cost, but it helps, because then another point is people don't hire any person for the sake of ऑडिट रिक्वायरमेंट, ऑडिटर में से कि ये उस कोई पर्पस नहीं, आप कुछ भी करके कुछ किया, बट गो विद द प्रॉपर बिकॉज द इम्पैक्ट इज बिग, वॉल्यूम्स आर बिग एंड यू नीड टू बी इन टच विद दोज पीपल एंड बिलीव दैट. सो वो सब करने के बाद में व्हाट इज रिक्वायर्ड ऑन द मैनेजमेंट is the internal team will say no, we are doing this, we are monitoring this, ये हो ही नहीं सकता, हमने तो हमारे स्टैंडर्ड से. So good organization when they refer to the third party as a system, as a process, not and at a desired frequency, they will give more weightage to the third party assessment, and because that will help to go into the reasons, go into the analysis, and sometimes it happens malpractices comes up. And with those things, new technology initiatives are developed and are introduced. Like every stage, when the truck is coming, which truck is coming, which part, when they are coming on the payment, सब पूरा track होता है. और होने के बाद किस तरह से उसको measure करते हैं. So technology situation do help. But it is you who have to figure out what is good, which points are critical, which points have to be focused first, and it has to be taken. So prioritization. So this is all the things which probably, when you say, once in a while, is this so good internal control, good management system, good, management culture. Nobody wants surprises. सरप्राइजेस इन द सेंस कि दिमाग में तो है मेरा प्रॉफिट इतना आएगा और सडनली आ गया प्रॉफिट 10 करोड़ से नीचे, एंड देन द रीजन सेज कि ये इन्वेंट्री का लॉस आ गया. द रिक्वायरमेंट इज देन व्हाई यू कैन नॉट मॉनिटर individually, not every time third party. If it is so material and so you don't have that expertise, then you need to hire that expert on it, not on your role. It can be if it is important raw material, important item, you have to spend money on this, because spending money on quality inspection and all these things helps and reduces cost. It doesn't increase cost ultimately as a total cost management.
Thank you so
So
much. Thank you so much. So I think I will hand it over to Nistush if there are any questions. I think
and
there is
one
one
more
question
I did not
from.
cover on the finished goods. So when it comes on the finished goods, again, if it is in, bags, easy. But if it is to be loaded in the rack, loose, then you have challenges. You need to have right. But then people say, हमारा ये handling system होना चाहिए. यदि handling system नहीं है, तो, variation will come. But variation आएगा, then you have a loading time issues, handling charges issues, cost, additional cost, all the things. But the creativity and the importance, how the team can work out in the given constraint. It is not कि ये constraint नहीं होगा तो फिर आप किसके लिए हो? That is very, to challenge a team and to challenge this, कि this is the constraint, we cannot overcome it, but we need to achieve it, the objective. The achievement may not be 100%, but achievement could be 95%. So at least you are saving, you are becoming sure कि बड़ा loss नहीं है, थोड़ा बहुत होता है, which I can attribute and which cannot influence the overall scheme of the things. And when they are like engineering industry, when it is custom made as per the order, then suddenly there is a requirement कि customer ने बंद कर दिया, for whatever be the reason. He stopped and he communicated. But in the meantime, you are processed. Either it is lying in work in progress or it is lying and you cannot, fungibility is very poor. You cannot change, you cannot do. So, but person has to keep a track of it. What inventory is becoming what. So age analysis in the inventory is very important. And then you need to have such system ki incremental cost of managing that very old inventory, which you can melt, which you can use, because that is the only option. You cannot sell it. The only option which we say in stores and spare part. Obsolete हो गया, काम नहीं हो सकता, then you have to sell as a scrap.
Correct.
You cannot do as an item. So these are the things, but all items, all classified items, different items, they are having, and good organization, it is not the first time they are doing it. All good organization, old organization, they are well tested process. They are inbuilt in the system, but the criticality is how serious you look in, what is the frequency, how you look into the problem, how you improve, how you strengthen your SOP, and how you make the people accountable. So these are the things which probably, even in a good organization, I have seen the scope of improvement.
Thank you.
Improvement in the sense, whatever level you are, because those things are framed few years back.
Yeah.
5 years back, 10 years back, situation change, compulsion change, pressures change, and the need changes. So unless you are vibrant, you are aligned, you keep doing together with the team, and you are focused, this is all the role of CEO, top management, including head of the department or section head, whatever you call. Everyone's responsibility.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So I'll hand it over to Nistush. Are there any questions, Nistush?
Yeah.
I think some questions answered.
I think so. First of all, excellent. I think this was a perfect episode of hearing from the horse's mouth. The most practical episode of SCM Talk Show, I believe. So we do have one question, but I think we did cover it between the session. Looking at the shortage of time, I'll just ask the questions from Krishna. What are the best practices for inventory control? So I think we took this question. Yeah, we took at length at different parts. So I'll leave that question. So thank you so much for joining us, Satish sir, for such an excellent session and for the knowledge to the listeners. I'm sure they will gain a lot out of it. And once again, thank you, Ravi sir, for being a wonderful host to SCM Talk Show or Talk Show episode 6. To the audience, the next episode we will have on.
Nistush, I did not cover the point pertaining to best practices. So since the point has come on best practices, so I touch upon briefly how the best practices become a best practice. So first of all, as I said, best practice cannot remain a best practice forever. It was a best practice, but the competition is changing. New technologies, new environment, things, and somebody is ahead of us. Assuming that we are ahead always, it's again a wrong notion. So these are the things, the culture, what I said about the top management view and everyone's view, not around top management, everyone's, they need to believe. And then another thing is keep benchmarking. अब सब लोग बोलेंगे कि benchmarking कैसे? Outside benchmarking, बाहर का datas are not available. कैसे करें इंडस्ट्री में? My belief is जहां बाहर का डाटा नहीं मिलता है, there are no published data. You are the only best person who can say, can I improve from this level to next level? If I am successful, and that level should not be a very, ऐसा नहीं कि हम 50 दिन की इन्वेंट्री में लेके बैठे और 49 days की इन्वेंट्री हो गई तो हम बोले कि हमारी बेस्ट प्रैक्टिस होगी. Because this marginal change can be beaten by anyone by doing something differentiated action anytime. So people should be said कि हमको best practice बनाना है, तो we keep challenging ourselves. We say कि ये तो best practice हो गई, what is next practice? आज के जमाने में the new terminology has come, the next practice. And we say कि next practice could be seen from many places. You can keep the eyes open from supplier, from customer, internal, process, challenging your status quo, doing something, all that thing will help you to keep the next level, and next level has to be substantially different, not this small difference of and finding a satisfaction. हाँ हमने कुछ किया. That is one way कि नहीं से कुछ तो कर रहे. That is one way of deriving satisfaction. But those who people believe and say कि yes, and if people I can touch upon what the newcomers in the supply chain can look for or can work or can, I think. So my advice to, in my own view, sorry, it may be acceptable or not, I don't know. But what I believe in and what I feel, given the importance of supply chain and given the, wide area of supply chain, starting from, inventory, is starting from procurement, or it is not only inventory or not, it is logistics. So it depends on the organization, how they define the supply chain. Bigger the organization, it becomes more vertical functional. Smaller the organization, it can, but it all depends how the organization thinks about it. So this is one, but I recently heard one person and read about it, which is very interesting, which I would like to touch upon. There are 3 E's. One E is education. Another E is experience. And third E is exposure. So a person should always be interested if they are having a growth mindset. So if they say I need to grow because it's a challenging function, it has a wide scope, differs from industry to industry. There is no common cut and paste approach. People have to be very, innovative, and fortunately it offers a lot of improvement opportunity, continuous improvement, making a difference to your organization and to your customer, and deriving your own satisfaction because you're learning out of it. So if and education keep improving, like they are joining your course or they are enhancing the knowledge or new knowledge and new thing, that is, after be a having a good education, proper education, they need to put some time on keep enhancing it or whatever platform and whatever way. Then they always need to look for an exposure. Of course, it will tell upon their, time. They have to stretch, they have to work hard. But if they get an opportunity of exposure, they need to grab it. And they need to say, let me use it. They can become a part of CFT, CIT, focus improvement team, or even if they are not, they gain knowledge by participating, interacting, and all that thing. And second is experience. Every experience will be a different. People will have to say what difference I get or what is my new learning, because learning comes from the problems, issues, and how we resolve it, how we think about it. So I think these are the things, and always keep in mind, they need to leverage their experience to the current situation. Don't forget, they need to say what I can do, what I can. This is my end. Experience should not become a burden. People should not say, ye to mera experience hai, aise hi karo. But they need to relate their experience in the new context and the new thing together with the people, respecting ideas, respecting and valuing the people's, and also contributing yourself together. So I think these are, I like this, and and I would recommend to more your listener this simple approach what I used, which we call it 3C plus 2S. So they need to practice in every function, every area, because cost is relevant to everyone. Service or customer satisfaction, internal or external, is relevant. It drives efficiency. It helps improving the process. And cash flow, if it is a language in the mind, they will always remain focused. मेरी inventory बढ़ रही है, नहीं बढ़ रही है, क्या करूं, किससे help मांगूं, क्यों बोलूं? It's, and somebody says, मैं क्यों बोलूं? People will see you are criticizing me. You are becoming a part of the problem, but not a part of the solution. But it is the culture of the organization which says constructive criticisms are more valid so that improvement comes in. So these are few things I would recommend to practice it. And 2S is, one is system. We have discussed various kinds of system and processes and different categories of inventory and part of supply chain, stages of supply chain, starting from sourcing to receiving to using and all that thing. So everyone has to play its role. So lot many opportunities to learn, but you need to have a mindset which is very, very in a brief manner and in a very second way, I have heard that, it is 3 E's, which is when I say ki, yes, I can relate it, and more and more I think I find is relevant. Whosoever has said in whichever forum and whosoever thought is, that's different. But since I heard it and I start relating it, I find it, people should remain focused. Of course, it will put a pressure on their time. They have to stretch it out, but that is all required if any person is aspiring for growth and growth faster than others, different than others. So all this initial stage and people, आज की तारीख में young people are having good potential. They have got more capabilities. They can do much more different things and much more different way, faster, quicker, and they are intelligent. They are smart. So that is all the points which goes in their favor. So I thought I will touch upon this, which probably it could not come.
Okay, Nistush.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thanks for that wonderful insight. So thanks to all the audience for joining in and being at the session. If you like it, please spread the word. We'll have our next episode on 24th of November, which will be the 7th episode of the season 4. Once again, thank you, everyone. Thank you to the speakers for joining in.
Nistush, can you ask whosoever are present, did they have a clarity? Because clarity on the respect of inventory errors. It is not an arithmetical error. It has, inventory error, how you define it. It's a different type. We have discussed so many things. Discrepancies are also, in my terminology, discrepancies, issues, challenges, problems, they're all having an impact on cost, satisfaction, and this. I would put all that thing in inventory errors as a broad spectrum, because all those things have a different solutions, different ways, not only arithmetical, but different processes. So that is all probably for the benefit of, because any person can say inventory error means arithmetical error. 2 + 2 4 nahi karke 5 ho gaya. That is one type of error which is also important. But there are many other things which we have discussed. In my view, if you, Ravi, if you agree with this, I would like to see that, this is all part of discrepancies are also considered as so-called language of inventory error.
Yep.
No, so we would be uploading this episode, the recorded on YouTube, and it will be on LinkedIn. So I would request all the listeners to please comment their thoughts about it. And, I'm sure they would have gained and they would improve upon their processes and inventory control. Thank you so much, everyone. And
Nistush, I
see you
am
next
also
time.
interested to know the feedback. Whenever you get it, share it. What's the reaction?
Yes, we will be tagging you in the post. So all the comments and feedback, you will get to know about it.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.